If you could ask me anything about music, what would it be? If you could ask me anything about music, what would it be? Sean Bolton asks, who was your major influence? Well, the late Kurt Cobain. You know, I saw Kurt Cobain, I saw his whole career unfold before my eyes. At least the mainstream part of it, you know what I mean? Out came this song, Smells Like Teen Spirit, Nirvana, what's that? You know, who's the man behind this? What is this band? It's a three-piece band making all this noise? What? You know, it didn't make sense to me how three guys could be that big, you know? They were becoming huge, and I loved that song, and I always wanted to hear it. When it would come on the radio, I'd be like, yeah, dude, that's awesome. You know? And I just liked it. So Kurt Cobain was my biggest influence of all time. And then whenever he died, I was standing there up against the wall, and I think it was on MTV News, and I think it was Kurt Loder announcing it, that he was dead. I didn't understand it. I couldn't even cry. Like, here it is, my biggest influence. Like wow, like my musical mentor, like remote musical mentor, meaning he wasn't there to personally do it for me, but I'm watching him, you know what I mean? He's like mentoring me through it by showing me how to do it. Not personally, that's just what he exudes, you know? Just his attitude. Watch me do it, you know? You don't believe me? Watch me do it, you know? So, at least that's what I think about his attitude. That's the way it came off towards me. Is that he was just very out there, and there wasn't going to be anybody that was going to tell him, no, you can't do that. And that to me was everything I stood for. You know, who dares, you know, who's going to tell me, you know? I didn't understand what that meant back then, you know? I say 20 million times, so I'm sorry. I'll probably put this on the video, across the screen. That'd be funny. But, that was my major influence, was Kurt Cobain, and watching him and his tragedy unfold. I mean, that changed my life. The person that I was dead set on career-wise now, not personal-wise, but career-wise, I was dead set on mimicking what I saw until he died, and it really crushed me when he died. But I didn't cry. I couldn't. I didn't understand it. I was too young to understand. I had just lost a grandpa. Like, 1 or 2 years before that? I was socially, emotionally numb. I was not there. I'm blank. There's no human left inside. And there I am just watching. If you could imagine a child witnessing a murder, that's what that was like for me. The details, the lies. It was something else. To watch it all unfolding and not understanding any of it. I didn't understand that. I was 12 when he died, 92? I don't even know. It was that long ago, man. 91? I was like 10 or 11. That was like right after my grandpa died. Or I was 12. I don't know. I don't want to remember. I don't want to remember, you guys. Like, that's how horrible it was for me. So moving on. Then I also had another influence, Corey Taylor from Slipknot. God, he was everything. He had picked up where Kurt Cobain left off. You understand? Here he was, this masked man, like, robbing me of my money because I wanted to just spend every penny on this, like invest into this. This is just, wow, what the hell is that, you know? Maybe it was a Kiss gimmick, maybe it was a Meshuggah, God, now I can't even remember the name of the band. Soilwork, no. I hate this band so much. I'm sorry to you fans, y'all are gonna hate me for saying this, but I really hate this band. The one that everybody is saying they copied. Oh God, with all the gimp masks. What is their name? Hold on, let's look it up. Oh, Mushroom Head. Good God, I know y'all guys are just sitting there and you're screaming at me, Mushroom Head, Mushroom Head. But that's how shitty that band is to me. Their sound is so generic and weak and lame, and the vocals are just... And then here comes Corey Taylor. Yo! You know, yo! Like fucking just... You know? Mushroom Head wasn't about that. Mushroom Head wasn't doing that. Mushroom Head couldn't compete with that. You know? And so what had happened is I missed out on my opportunity to meet Kurt Cobain, my biggest influence of all time. You know what I mean? I never had the shot. And yeah, thanks, Courtney. And so what happened is I was like, you know what? This dude, I don't know who this is, but I love his voice. Man, I love everything he's singing about. Some of it is really weird, you know what I mean? But like it was the way he was abstractly putting things, you know? And it was just, how do I explain this? It was very creative to me. It may have been dark, may have been sinister sometimes, but it was a very outspoken, this is the way the world is, this is the way the world works. Isn't it fucked up? And I'm just agreeing, yes. Oh my God, this is horrible. This is awful. Yeah, this is exactly the way the world works. And I don't like it any more than you do. No. Yeah, I would love to mass murder people that are doing horrible things. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't want to just squash that? You know what I mean? That's why we have wars. That's why we have wars against terrorism. That's why we have hanging Saddam Hussein. That's why we've got awful things that have been happening. And people are like, yeah, cheering it on. You guys don't understand. Yeah, I sit back and I'm watching this. Like the awfulness of like some of these things that have just happened in life. And I'm just like, all right. And so I abstractly describe what I would do to the person that is committing these horrible acts. I abstractly describe what they're doing, what it's like to be them sometimes. Some of these songs y'all don't understand, but it's from these screwed up people's perspective, their frame of mind, and what that does to me. You see what I mean? And the urges that I have and I suppress, because anybody could pick up a gun and go and shoot somebody. Anybody could set out and find somebody to shoot. Anybody could. Anybody could find any reason to shoot anybody. That's what it comes down to. Anybody can find any reason to kill anybody, and everybody's capable of it. Okay? So, what I do is I take these feelings, this pent-up rage and hatred that it's going nowhere. It's just stewing in me. Because I'm looking at the situation like there's nothing I can possibly legally or spiritually or emotionally do for myself, much less that person or anything. So what do? I put it into a song and I express that for the next person to come along to understand, like, this is history. This actually happened. I'm not just getting up there and saying, oh yeah, I would shoot that person. No, I really would shoot that person if given the opportunity and it was legal and I knew that the person who they are hurting would no longer be hurt anymore. And I'm sure that so many of you identify with that. But there's just some of you that just don't get it. You just don't get that soldier mentality, that mind frame of a killer that has been instilled in us by society. by TV, by what we watch, by what we listen to, by what we think about. And our thoughts are being controlled. And if you don't think our thoughts are being somewhat controlled and manipulated in some kind of direction, then you're a lot more dumb than I'd take you for. And I'm sorry to put it that way, and that may be harsh, and you may have already stopped watching because you're a goddamn offended. But you know what? I don't care, because you can sit there and judge, but the reality of the situation is that this still goes on, and your silence is accepting it. Oh! Just want to point that out. So Corey Taylor was my major influence after that, right? So let's back this on up, because I went on a whole nother rant. Sorry about that, but it happens. Corey Taylor was coming to town with Slipknot, and I'm like, dude, I've got to meet these guys, and to tell you the truth, y'all guys are going to think I'm crazy for this, maybe, but I had a dream about the album cover of Slipknot ages ago, and looking at it for the first time. I had a dream of that experience in my life as a premonition, as in, it happened. I had this dream before it ever, years before this event ever happened. You ever, like, woke up from a dream and couldn't remember the dream? Well, years later, all of a sudden, it made sense as soon as I was looking at this album cover for the first time. It was like deja vu. This has happened before. I dreamt about this, you know? And whenever I was looking at this album cover, and my dream, I was telling myself, this is going to change my life. Just looking at this album cover is going to change my life in drastic ways. And it did. Just looking at that album cover, every time I see it, I go back to that dream. And you know, and it really did. It changed my life. I wanted to know who they were. I followed them to Portland, Oregon. I met them in Colorado Springs, where I was living, and then Portland, Oregon, where I had moved. Portland, Oregon didn't work out with the band and the girl I moved in with. Neither one of those worked out, so I moved to Vegas with my parents. My parents had moved from Colorado to Vegas. That was the deal. They were moving, and I didn't want to stay in Colorado Springs. I was hurting from a past relationship, and I just needed to get out of there. Like, it was bad. It was really bad for me. It hurt so bad. And I couldn't go anywhere in town without thinking of her and it, and wanting to call her and asking her why she's doing this. You know what I mean? Like all the obsessive things, borderline possessive things, you know, and back then I didn't understand how that may have been coming off to somebody, and I didn't care because she had hurt me, you know, and so I had to go, and I left, you know, and I learned a lot from that, and I had evolved spiritually from that. I went from being a sad little teenager who was like 18, 19 years old at the time, and being like, why can't I have that? Wah, wah, wah. You know, to being like, why did I want that? Look at how she treated me. And that taught me so much growing up about what I wanted in life and who I was as a person. That shaped me, you know, and so I had to get out of there, and Slipknot was calling my name. Literally calling my name. So I'm just like, whoa, you know, I'm getting grabbed by the spirit, and next thing you know, I'm in Oregon. Which I hate, by the way. I hate Oregon. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm sorry, y'all Duck fans. I'm sorry, everybody who's ever been from Oregon, represents Oregon, loves Oregon. Oh my God, Oregon. I hate it. I just do. Every time I'm there, there's nothing but trouble. People with nasty attitudes. It's a lot like LA, except backwoods. Or even Vegas. It's a lot like LA and Vegas people, but the essence of Texas, Louisiana backwoods. Okay? So I met Corey Taylor, right? I finally met him. This was it. I'm meeting Corey Taylor. Finally, face to face. I snuck backstage, right? I snuck back through the fence, back where the tour buses were, and I snuck in. And I went to where they all were, and I'm talking to Joey, and I'm like, Joey, who's a drummer, badass drummer, best drummer on earth, if you ask me. I'll say one of the baddest drummers on earth, because I know there's a lot of you guys, like the guy from Trivium, this new guy right now, dude, that guy, Greg, he is the shit. But look, my point is that I met Joey first. Joey was there, he was there for me, and we had a conversation. And then somewhere in between all that, I asked him if he would go. I probably started with, would you go get Corey? Rude as fuck, right? Like, how am I going to ask, like, the timepiece, the center of the band, the center of their universe? How am I going to ask him, can I talk to your lead singer? That's fucked up, right? That's fucked up. But I did it. That's what I did. And he was like, yeah, just give me a minute. For some reason, he didn't want to go do it right away. That was fine. And we talked, and I pulled out the album cover, and I said, you see how Corey Taylor's laying on this table right here with the light above him? You know, and it looks like maybe he's bleeding out, or he's just a dead body on the cadaver table. And he's like, yeah. I said, is that the theme for Wait and Bleed? And he was blown away, right? That somebody made that connection somehow. Because nobody in the band had made that connection, that's Wait and Bleed right there sitting in your face. You know what I'm saying? It just looked like there was blood smeared across the wall behind him. I mean, like it was literally everything the song is describing. And that dead body on the cadaver table was just it for me. You know what I mean? It was everything. And I asked him, and he said no. But an interesting analogy. I had never heard that word analogy in my life. And it blew me away. And I thought this dude was one of the smartest people on earth. This guy's got a vocabulary like, whoa, you know? And I modeled myself after that. I wanted that vocabulary like, whoa now, you know? And I guess this is a roundabout story about how Joey Jordison is really my major influence. It all started with Kurt Cobain, led me to Corey Taylor, but in the end, it was always Joey. He was the one that I should have been talking to in the first place. You know what I mean? He's the one that I should have fanboyed. He's the one that I should have been asking all those questions, you know. But I had specific questions for Corey, and I did ask him. You know, I did ask him, and it was cool, and it was fun, and it was awesome. And that I will never forget it, dude. That was the biggest impactful moment of my life, was meeting Slipknot. Y'all can laugh, but wow, man. Do y'all have that story? And the people who do, they know they're like, yeah! You know what I mean? But you guys, y'all don't understand, bro. Maybe you like Demi Lovato. Maybe you wanted to meet Demi Lovato one day. Maybe you wanted to meet James Woods. Maybe you wanted to, I could throw a million names out. Maybe you wanted to meet all these famous people. Right? But I did. I'm your success story saying that you can meet these famous people and you can impact their lives. They're human. They're not robots walking around. They're humans. You can influence these people, you know, especially whenever you come with a positive energy. And I swear to God, if you guys use this for evil against my famous friends, I will not be happy about this, okay? I'm letting you know right now. I know how y'all Democrats and liberals work, and I don't mean to drag politics into this, but this is why I don't tell my stories. It's because y'all take this and you use this for evil. So, to all my famous friends, please protect yourselves from people that I'm describing. Joey Jordison ended up being my major influence, and I carried that experience with me. Yeah, Corey Taylor was great to meet, and it was awesome, and I ended up talking to him online after that, if that was even him. I kept thinking, dude, I was like, there's no way in hell this is Corey. There's no way in hell that was Corey. Call him boy on Yahoo. And it still could be true that was not even him. I don't know. But my guess is that it was 75% sure that that really was him. But I don't know. You know what I mean? And I'll never know unless he admits it. But who cares, right? It's in the past. And it's not going to make or break my life whether it was him or it wasn't him. You know what I'm saying? I don't care. I'm not that big of a fanboy anymore. You know, he was a friend to me, and that's all that mattered, you know? So then something is telling me not to tell this part of the story, but I want to do it anyways. This is probably where I'm going to lose a couple of you guys because y'all won't believe me. But I wrote a song called Who I Am. This is who I am. This is who I've become. And Corey Taylor came out with a song a year later talking about, I want you all to tell me who I am. Mission Statement on Stone Sour. That album. I was immediately offended. And I probably should have taken it as a compliment. But when your personal work is violated, or I'm sorry, maybe it was unintentional. He is my friend. You know what I mean? Joey and him may have beef, but they're still both my friends in an essence. I may not agree with Corey at all. I may not even like what I think he did to me. But when it comes down to it, we still have a bond and he's still my friend, right? And I could get mad and I could want to sue him for what I think he did to me. But what's that going to solve? It ain't going to go nowhere. You know, it ain't worth my time and my money. It will end up costing me more in court fees than it would in my sacrifice on a friendship. I'd rather that friendship, and I'd rather okay, now keep in mind this is many years later. I would rather that friendship, and I would rather that compliment of saying, man, you're talented. Look how talented you are. Your talent made it into my albums. You have influenced me in such a way that I'm like, man, I'm going to put your skills on display. Now, they say it's made by Slipknot. Am I part of Slipknot? Am I getting paid for my contributions? Hell no. But that's the story of my life, dude. Fucking poor man, struggling artist because I won't do Bohemian Grove or whatever these parties are. I won't do it, man. I stay home. I'm a homebody. I don't care. What are they going to do to me? They have nothing to hold over my head. And they can try, but I don't care. You know what I'm saying? I don't take this shit personally. So to wrap up who my major influence was, finally, in the very end of it all, you know who my influences growing up were and still are. Okay, they're still my most major influences to the core. Whenever I write a song, the majority of the time, these are the people that I'm thinking about impressing. Not copying, not trying to sound like, not trying to be like, but I want to put it out there to where it's like, that's my dude. That's my boy. Way to go. You know what I'm saying? And at first, you know, this is, okay, I'll answer another question that you guys might be asking. I'll volunteer you an answer. Okay, the question would be, how did you start writing music? Well, I liked Trent Reznor a lot. Still do. I think he's fucking badass, dude. The guy is badass. That's another one of my major influences growing up. I didn't have Nirvana no more. He's gone. There's no more new albums coming out. I've already burned through all of his albums. But now I'm discovering through a friend named Eli who Nine Inch Nails was. And that was whenever I was 14, 15, I think. So here it is, like 2 or 3 years later after Kurt Cobain died. And I've had plenty of time to get through all of his albums and study them profusely, right? And to get to know him as an artist, right? So now I'm growing up and I'm finding out who this Nine Inch Nails is. I've never heard anything like the Downward Spiral before. Never. What the fuck is that? I asked myself. You know what I'm saying? Now this is before Slipknot, okay? And I'd never heard like anything like that. I've heard Morbid Angel. You know, I've heard Cannibal Corpse. But I had never heard the depth, the creativity, here it is, that word again, abstractness of Nine Inch Nails and the Downward Spiral. And like I've got, like, dude, I don't know if you can see this, but I've got goosebumps. That is how, that is, yeah, man, that touched my soul, you know. It woke me up. It was scary to me. The sound was just like, I thought I was listening to a horror flick. You know? Cradle of Filth? Nah, that don't sound like a horror flick to me. Slipknot, kind of. But man, Nine Inch Nails, the Downward Spiral. Dun, 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 dun. No, I'm doing the Perfect Drug, but just March of the Pigs. I mean, the whole album. The whole album was a scary movie to me. I don't even remember. I think it was Erase Me. Erase me. Dun, 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 dun. You know, I think that was a song, and I was just, this is me. And look, hold up. Let me back that up. I'm sorry. This is me. And I'm holding the thing, and I'm like, the whole time, like every different sound, I'm just like, you can do that musically? Like, like this is music? Like, how did you... I'm used to top 40s and oldies and country and Nirvana, radio stuff. What the hell is that? What the hell is that? You know? And it was just something else, dude. And that was another one of my major influences, you know, was just that album. Here it was, Trent Reznor is doing it all by himself. You know? I don't even know why I brought Trent Reznor up anymore. Like I am just so blown away by how that album was. It was just amazing. You know, and something else. Oh, how I started writing music. I'm sorry. It's just, that's how captivating that album is. It's just like, wow. You know, I could just go on forever about it. And I will if given the opportunity, but I won't right now, right? You know what I'm saying? You guys are here to learn about whatever. You know, you're not here to learn about all these things, right? So, how did I start writing music? That album, I'm listening to that album, and I switched it up to, I went and bought the Pretty Hate Machine after that. You know, I think it was a year after that I had first heard it, maybe a year and a half, and I went and picked up Pretty Hate Machine this time. Well, I want to hear the first album, you know. This is the only time I really feel alive, right? You know what I'm saying? And I'm hearing these words from an artist that has already just captivated my senses, and I'm feeling so like influenced, and I want to be like that, but I want to do what he does. So how do you do that? How do you learn to do what that person does? Well, lyrically speaking, how I learned how to piece together lyrics so well, so easily, so just they just snap together. I mean, like, I could write a sentence and it's like, bam, that's gold. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not bragging. I just know music that well, and I've studied how to put things together that well, and it comes together that easy to me, and I've always understood music this way. It's always been that easy for me. And so, well, this is what I did. Okay, this is what I did. I wrote down... Oh, and I'm sorry. I took his lyrics, right? and I'm looking at the inlet of the album and the lyrics in the album, and I took my favorite song, the one that was that spoke to me, and and I'm trying to mimic line for line what he said, but describe my own experiences in my own way, but keep the same phrase styling and keep the same like amount of words. I wanted to look like his lyrics, but be nothing like his lyrics. Does that make sense? And so yeah, I was a copycat, because that's how you learn to draw. You trace things, right? You trace it and you get your hands used to doing it that way, right? And that's how a lot of artists start off doing things, is they trace other artists. They trace around the lines of other artists, right? That's how I learned to draw, and man, I'm a really good artist. I can draw by looking at something now. Freehand, you know what I mean? And I'm probably rusty right now, but like whenever I was a kid, man, I draw Speed Racer. A picture this small, and then I would draw a picture this big. From a picture this small, this little bitty square, I would draw a picture this big. You know what I'm saying? Of the exact same thing, and it would look just as good, if not better. People who remember that picture, they know. And so I did that. I copycatted him, and that's how you learn, And then next thing you know, the next song I wrote, I'm sorry, let me back that up. The next poem. That's how all songs start out, poetry. The next poem I had written was all on my own. I didn't do the same thing twice. I didn't take his work and copy it twice. No, I took what I learned and then made my own. You see what I mean? I didn't get up there and sing a Nine Inch Nails song for my first song. No. I got up there and I sang a Chance Trahan song. I sang a song by Chance. So let's move on, because now I've just gotten way into this. First question. Hold on. 34 minutes to answer one question. But I've given you so much content and so much realness in that answer that I can't believe I'm actually thinking about answering more questions afterwards. It's going to be a very long interview. What inspired me to pick it up? Recreating that feeling and that sense of urgency to instill in somebody else, like, hey, you need to pay attention to this, because this is going to change your life. What inspired me to pick it up was that one person reaching to the back of that audience and grabbing you and saying, this is music. That was described on how to effectively portray your vocals. Is to, I don't even remember who said it. If you can remember, comment it, whatever, I don't care. But that person that described how to be a very good vocalist said, you really need to power them vocals. You need to say it in such a way and express it in these vocals in such a way that it grabs that person in the back of the audience, that depressed person, that person that just hates life, doesn't even know why they're there. You want to grab them with your voice and say, this is why you're here. You're here because of me. Because of what I went through. And this is for you. You know what I mean? And you're like, yeah, when you get that, when you receive that, and you're the person at the end of the audience, and you receive that, you're like, yeah, dude. Yeah. And the person on stage, they're like, yes, I did it. they're not clapping for you, nigga. They're clapping for themselves. They're up on stage. If you're up on stage and you're not your biggest cheerleader, if you're writing music and you're not your biggest fan, stop. You do not belong in music. If you think you suck, you do not belong in music. If you think you're horrible and you'll never make it in music, you're right. Stop. But if you think that way and you're like, I don't want it to be that way, then you are in the right industry. But if you're going to get discouraged easily, this is not the right industry for you, the one I'm describing. Because you will get beaten down verbally. You will get told that your music is no good. You will be told that it's awful and its quality that it's in. You will be told you will be told all types of things by your best friends, your family. Everybody's going to tell you, you suck. Give it up. Are you gonna? Or are you gonna keep pursuing it? Let me tell you something. In 1996, I made the conscious decision that this is what I wanted to do. However, little did I know it was already decided for me before I was even conceived, maybe even, you know? And by that, I mean in second grade, third grade, one of those grades. I think it was second or third. Either way, we had a music test. Or was it? I don't remember what grade it was. I'm going to be honest. Maybe it was even the 6th grade. I think it was the 6th grade. Or was it the 5th? Look, dude, look. The point of the matter is that I was very young, okay? And I was in elementary school, and I took the elementary school music test, and I aced it. Nobody else had ever done that, and anywhere in their district, anybody, even the best musicians, even the teachers, everybody had taken this test. It was a game to them, and here I am. I'm the only person who had aced it. And I mean, I think that they said like I got one question wrong or 2 questions wrong, right? But they said that I knew the answer. I had aced it. You know what I mean? I was the only person that had ever even come close to that score. And they pulled me to the side, away from the rest of the class. And my teacher had another lady there and says, Chance, you're not in trouble. So, and I'm like, okay. And she says, you may not understand what I'm telling you right now, and you might be too young to get it, but when you grow up, you're going to do music. And you're not just going to do music, but you're going to be really good at it. You're not just going to be really good at it, you're going to be the best. I didn't understand that as a kid. She was completely, totally right. What the fuck are you talking about, lady? What? You know what I mean? That was my question. What? Right? And yeah, I wanted to do music, and I remembered that growing up, and I never let it get to me. But I also never let it sink in at the same time until recently, you know. Until I decided, you know what, they're right. I am going to do music, and I am going to be the best, and I am going to change the world with it, and I am going to, you know what I mean? I am all these things that they're telling me. You know? And I'm not all these things that people are claiming I am as far as negativity goes. You know? I don't suck. I'm not horrible. You know what I mean? I just haven't made that the way it needs to be made yet. Does that make sense? Because my first album, all metal, you know, it sucked. I'm going to tell you straight up, that album was shitty to listen to. But the way it was done, you know what I mean? Does that make sense to you? Like, the quality was shit, but the content was great. Does that make sense? Like, it's not listenable, but when you know, like, the concept of what I'm trying to do here, it's like, man, that dude is the best. You know what I'm saying? But if you weren't on that wavelength, you totally didn't get my music. You didn't understand Creatures. You didn't understand Over Again, Dissonant. I'm sorry, it's got two names. Dissonant, Over Again. Which means the closing. It just means the closing. It's all over again. And it's happening all over again. You know what I mean? Just repetition. That's all it's about. But you see what I mean? Like the songs, the content in the songs is just great. Like, you know what I'm saying? But man, that sound quality was shit. Man, them guitar riffs, they was awesome, dude. But man, that sound quality was shit. Man, that drum programming, man, that sounded like a real drummer, nigga. But that sound quality was shit. Man, them background sounds, that programming, man, whenever you had that rain sound and it came in afterwards, you know, in a Creature song, and man, that really painted the scene for me. But that shit was hard to listen to, nigga. You know what I'm saying? And I would hear that. I would hear that from my friends, you know? And it hurt. Honestly, it really hurt to hear that. But I used that pain and that misery and that sorrow for, damn, I wish I could have did a better job. I used all that for a positive to actually make it cool, to be like, yeah, dude, you know? And now, here it is, all these years later, 2018, almost 2019 now. I'm about to be 38 years old on the 12th. And I just now have my album pretty much the way I want it to be. And I did it all myself. Nobody was paid to make this happen. You know, I did this all myself on my own. You know, I invested in myself. I invested in my computer. You know, I couldn't use a PC. It just wasn't coming out great. I had to get a Mac. So I invested. You know, and that's where reinvesting in yourself comes in handy. Look at this. I'm just going to show you something. For example, I've got this perfectly fine Apple keyboard, right? But the problem is the keys don't light up. So, hold on, sorry, it's charging. So I reinvested into a wireless keyboard just like that one, but the keys light up. I don't know if you can see that, but the keys are blue, right? And you can change the colors, but that's not the point here, is that I needed to be able to write in the dark. Otherwise, I can't get my work done as effectively in the nighttime as I want to do when I'm coding and whenever I'm writing lyrics or whenever I'm writing a script or whenever, you know what I mean? Like I need those keys to be lit up so I can see what I'm typing. Otherwise, I'm like this close to the keyboard trying to see the keys, or I'm having a light on that is going to ruin my mood, my writing mood. You see what I mean? And some of y'all might not understand what I'm trying to say, but a lot of y'all writers and things like that, y'all are going to understand. I think that's enough for this video. So hopefully I've answered a lot of your questions about music as a whole, about the industry, about influences and how to write music. I hope that I've helped some of you get started, because this is what you want, right? So I'm helping you get your foot off into the right direction. I'm helping you get your foot in the door in the industry by first creating yourself, investing in yourself, and making the best quality products and providing that value to the consumer, which I hate that word, but the listener, the experiencer, the person who is experiencing you in your raw, you know, and you're exposing yourself. You're wearing no clothes in front of these people, right? And I'm showing you how to do that confidently. And that's a really horrible analogy that sounds like that is just, wow. I should have not even said that, but that's kind of the way I look at things. Like, you know what? I'm exposing myself for these people. These people can see right through me, right through my clothes. You know what I mean? And if I don't imagine them in their underwear and, you know, and see them right through their clothes, then I'm going to get up there. I'm going to be scared. I'm going to be nervous, and I'm going to fail. So I just want to get up there, close my eyes, and just think about how I'm feeling and about how this might be helping the other person on the other side. And I might walk away from that performance and not even know that I changed somebody's life. And maybe I'll never know that I changed somebody's life. But the point being is that there's a possibility of you doing that. And so I hope that everything that I've said here just now, I hope that you know, if you could ask me anything about music, what would it be? That answers your question. In the next video, I will be talking about my experience with The Voice, and I'll be talking about my experience with America's Got Talent. So if you are into what you're hearing, what you're seeing, and you've made it to the very end of this video, please watch the next video so you can decide if that's what you want to do with your career, if that's what you want to spend your time focusing on, and if that's what's going to pan out for you. I will describe all of this. I've been to both competitions and I have failed at both. So you know that I have sat around thinking about how to win at both, okay? Now, I may not be able to explain it right, and I may not even be able to do it myself, but I understand exactly what to do and exactly, you know, how to do it. I just don't know how to do it without screwing up. You know what I'm saying? I get nervous, dude. It's different getting up in front of a crowd and singing than it is in front of one judge and singing. No joke. It's different doing karaoke and doing America's Got Talent in front of one judge in a room full of 7 other nervous people who are getting up in front of this one judge. You only get one judge. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.
Back with another beat. Y'all ready to get airborne in this bitch? I'm just a quick and dirty solution, so you can blame another mistake. You're so fake, and I just want an escape from the abuse, but I can't get away till you stay away from me. I just want you to see all the things that you do to me. Sometimes I wish you were me, just so you could see how foolish you look to me. But you wouldn't see what I see. Even if you were me, you still wouldn't see.
singer-songwriter.com.